Yeah, but it is not very strong, so it is okay.
Oh, okay, okay, good. Take care, all of you.
Thank you.
Where's the rest of the class today? Liu Weng Chao, how are you? Weng Chao is not there. Yan Cheng, are you there? Yeah, okay. If Yang Cheng is not there, Yong Cheng is there, I believe. Right? How are you, Long Chao?
Hello, hello.
Hello. Yeah, how are you? Good? Okay. Bolin, are you there? Not there. How about Jin Hui? Mingjun must be there. Are you there? Pan Mingjun. Yeah, people are very shy, not talking to the teacher. What is the progress of your assignment? Are you all doing great? Are you all okay with the assignment? Hello? Anyone has completed the assignment?
No.
Nobody, huh?
Yeah.
Anyone halfway through? Finished half?
Yes, I finished the
Finished
half.
half.
I
How many
will
half?
celebrate next week.
Oh, good, good. That's good. Okay. Any difficulty? Any problems you face in your assignment? Okay. So how many cases in China now?
Here.
How
Okay,
many?
Pan Mingjun is here.
Yes, Pan Mingjun.
Yeah. Professor, I'm here.
Good, good. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. How are you?
Thank you. Fine.
Okay, good.
Hello,
Cheng
Prof.
Yan. Okay. Cheng Yan say find it difficult to collect data. What kind of data you want to collect, huh, Cheng Yan? So you have overcome the problem. Are you referring to some of the websites like Transparency International, Corruption Perception Index, Hofstede's website? Are you referring to these? Automobile International Trade. Okay, okay. Maybe you should refer to the auto. You know, that there's a website for auto. So that should give you a lot of data. Oh, Chengyan, Germany and China. Oh, okay. So you have chosen Germany to enter in, okay, automobile industry, right? Okay. Hi, Bolin, hello. Peng Chao, hello.
Hello, teacher.
Hi.
因为消耗比较大，是压到了它的呼吸通道，所以直接放弃了。最终它的评比成绩定在99公斤。是的。成为第2位完赛的运动员。
Good afternoon, Ginny.
总成绩为177公斤。
Okay. So, I believe all of you are working on your assignment and are progressing pretty well. And you have chosen your continent, your country, and your industry. All you have chosen, I believe. And I hope you have at least finished Hofstede's cultural dimensions until there. Am I right? Okay, guys, so let's move on with today's session. Today we continue with where we left in last week. Last week we were talking about entry strategies, okay, global or international market entry strategies. So there we have understood there are different types of entry strategies available to an organization. And then we have seen an overview of all these entry strategies. Today, what we are going to do is to look into each of these strategies so that by the end of today's session, you should be able to decide which is the best entry strategy for you and for your assignment. Okay, so you have to make a decision today to see which are those 4 strategies you want to discuss and which one you want to recommend. Out of the 4, you have to recommend one if I'm not wrong. Okay, so let's go through, try to understand, ask as many questions as possible if you have any, and then I believe you should be able to make the right choice by the end of this session. Okay, so you want to choose a licensing, franchising, exporting, direct exporting, indirect exporting. There's so many methods, collaborative methods, and so on. So let's go through them one by one and see which one best suit your assignment. And I hope you can finish this part of this assignment before we come back here next week. So you have 1 week time to write about your entry strategies and make sure you're right. And if you have any questions, meanwhile, you can always WhatsApp me. You can ask me in the group. You can personally WhatsApp me and ask me the questions if you have any. And then we can discuss from there. Okay. So let's move on. Let me share. Okay. Someone is doing some renovation of their house, so I can hear some noise. So I think this is where we stopped in the last week, if you remember. Okay, alternative market entry methods or market entry strategies. And we discussed, if you remember, that as we move from bottom to top, the level of involvement, the level of commitment, the complexity level, and the commitment level keeps increasing for an organization. So that's why you have to choose carefully. You want to go for a piggybacking, exporting, trading. You want to employ a trading company. You want to appoint distributors and agent. You want to give out a franchising, or you want to have a contract manufacturing or licensing or alliance or joint venture. assembly, acquisition, wholly owned subsidiary. There are many options in front of you, but all these options may not be suitable for your business due to many reasons. Maybe you do not have enough capital, you do not have the know-how, you don't have the technology, you don't have the manpower, so there could be many restrictions and limitations which may force you to choose one or the other methods which you feel is the most appropriate at this juncture. So let's go through them and see which is the best one that suits you. So as we move upward, if you see, the control of the strategy is much higher. At the bottom, let's say indirect exporting, like piggybacking, trading companies, export management companies, domestic purchasing, the control is very little. If anything goes wrong, it could be because of you or maybe because of them. I remember, Coke and Pepsi, they encountered many difficulties. And one of the difficulties that encountered was, it was reported that, Coke and Pepsi had, worms inside it. So there were a lot of social media pictures emerging, especially from countries like India, where they found there were something like worms inside Pepsi or Coke. So immediately, Pepsi and Coke, came out with a lot of press releases, PR campaigns, saying that our product is the best product in terms of quality. We have the world-class production technology and methods and so on. But people were not convinced. And then they started blaming the distributors who were storing these products. They say it is not the manufacturing problem, this is a distribution problem. They did not distribute the product in the right temperature. I mean, it is not stored in the warehouse in the right temperature. That's why it is happening. But the sales dropped drastically. Similar story, I don't know whether I told you the story of Cadbury chocolate. Cadbury's faced a similar problem in India. There were reports of worms in the chocolate. So some people bought chocolate to celebrate their birthdays, and they found, to their dismay, there were worms running around playing, wishing them happy birthday. So this became a big news. The Cadbury shares fell, the sales dropped, the company was on a defense mode. They said, we have the best production technique, just like Coke and Pepsi. There's nothing wrong with our production mechanism. Whatever is happened is because the distributor did not store the product in the right temperature. The warehousing was not appropriate. But for you and for me, Cadbury, anything goes wrong with the product, we blame the company. We don't know who is the intermediary. We don't care who plays the intermediary's role. So finally, they had to accept the mistake, and they came out with a triple layer packaging for Cadbury products in India. So there was an outer layer packaging, and then there was a silver packaging. Inside the silver packaging was a golden color packaging, which was wrapped around Cadbury. They did all these just to protect the image, the brand image, the market value of the product. So many times, problems emerge not because of the manufacturing issues, but because of the distribution. They're causing problems too. That's why the risk factor in indirect exporting is very high, because once the product is given to piggybacking or trading companies, you have no direct control over what happens there. Whereas in direct exporting, if you see, the control is medium. Direct exporting can be done with the help of distributors, agents, direct marketing, franchising, management contracts, and so on. So, and if you move upward, you have corporate strategies which involve joint ventures and strategic alliances, or a direct investment greenfield strategies called, it can be having on subsidiaries or acquisition or assembly plants. Just I was reading yesterday that Toyota has shut down one of their assembly plant in Thailand because of the emerging COVID cases. Too many COVID cases in Thailand, so they were forced to shut down the assembly unit. Now you can understand the impact if an assembly unit is shut down, because those are mostly export-oriented units, not just catering to the domestic market. So it has got a great impact on the foreign market. So you see, the risk and control factor, if you see, is much higher at indirect exporting, and the control and the risk is much higher. Okay, you may have greater control, but at the same time, the risk is also high because you are investing a lot of money when it comes to direct investment. So if you want less risk and greater control, then you should go for direct exporting or corporate strategies or cooperation strategies like joint ventures or strategic alliances. So you have to see, you want to balance between risk and control, or you want to have greater control and you're willing to take greater risk. When we say greater risk, it means you have to invest. You need to have your own distribution network. You need to have your own assembly points. Okay, you need to have your own, manpower, machinery, equipments. There are a lot of things you need to have. That's why we say the risk is much higher when it comes to direct investment. Are you with me, guys? Hello?
Hello, Professor.
Good. Are you with me?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So just hold on for a few seconds, please. Okay, guys, just checking with you. Can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes, sir, can see.
Okay, so let's move on to indirect exporting. So we are going to look at now individually each of the mechanisms. So as we discuss, you need to decide what is the best method for you to enter into another country. Okay, so the first method is domestic purchasing, which is an indirect exporting method. Now, it's very simple. You purchase the product and export to another country straight away. But the problem is you don't have the knowledge of the international market. You don't know how the market is going to react to your product. You may not have knowledge of distribution networks. You may not know the cultural background, the political scenario. You may not know the socio-economic situation in that country. So you have very little control of the markets that you are planning to enter, which means risk factor is very high or very low, but you have very little control at the same time. But this could be good in the initial phase. Let's say you want to enter into a country, maybe in the first 1 year, this could be a very good method, you know. But in the long run, you need to rethink your strategy as to whether you need to continue with the domestic purchasing and sending it to another country. That means you just sell the same product in another country. What is used in China is exported to, let's say, Malaysia. That's it. No changes in packaging, no changes in product quality, no change in name, nothing. Everything is as it is, just to export. The second possibility we are looking, the indirect exporting method, is export management companies, where you are taking the service of export houses. These are specialized firms. They have the know-how, they have the technology, they know all about another country. For example, you want to sell your tea from China. So all that you need to do is to find an export management company. And they will do the rest for you. You give the product to them, pay them the money, they will sell it in another country. You don't have to worry at all because they have their own distribution networks, they have warehousing, they know all about the market, they have employees there. So for them, it will be much easier. For example, you want to sell, let's say, a specialized aromatic tea from China to Malaysia. What do you do? So you just find an export management company, that's all. They may have extensive distribution network here in Malaysia, and they will do all kinds of documentation for you. You don't have to worry. They will do the distribution for you. They will sell the product. They will do the marketing campaigns. They will do the advertising. They will do the PR, everything. So, but obviously they take a bigger profit. You get a smaller profit, that's all. So they can deal with government documentation, government regulations, everything. For example, we have the Legend Exports in Malaysia, Vina Exporter. So these exporters, they are specialized in exporting products of another company. They don't produce anything. They are a kind of intermediary. They play the role of middlemen. They can do everything about shipping, lading, they know everything about customs. They know when your product reaches another country, what kind of documentation is to be done, what is the regulatory requirement. So everything they know, which means you as an organization don't need to burn the midnight oil, or you don't need to worry much about how you're going to do things in another country. Absolutely not required. All that you need to do is give your products, whatever documents they ask you, just hand it over to them. The remaining task is theirs. It's an easy way. No risk. The third indirect exporting method is piggybacking. Piggybacking, it's like playing elephant, you know. When you're kids, I'm sure all of you must have played elephant. You're sitting, you know, your dad was on his legs and hands, or knees, and you're sitting on him and saying, "Go, elephant, go." Right? It's something similar. So piggybacking is nothing but you are taking a free ride on somebody else's distribution network. For example, here we have the Aeon company, a Japanese company. They got a very good extensive distribution network with supermarkets. They got so many Aeon malls in Malaysia. I'm sure they must be in China too. I don't know. So they got shopping malls in almost every city. If not one, many. So as a marketer, what you need to do, you have a tie-up with Aeon Mall or Aeon Group, and they will display your product in all their supermarkets, all in their malls, shopping malls. Which is the easiest way. They will carry your product. They will, distribute it. They will brand it. They will advertise for you. But definitely, when they piggyback, they will take a substantial amount of money because they're helping you to market your product. So, especially, companies from Asia, developing countries, I mean, it would be a good idea to go piggybacking. You know why? Because we are all cash starving. We don't have the surplus cash, I would say. So what is the best way? When you don't have surplus manpower, cash, capital, distribution, what do? You piggyback. You jump onto somebody's back and take a free ride and do your business. But the problem is, when you piggyback, the distributor is more powerful. He has got a better bargaining power. He can dictate terms and conditions to you, which means you are not getting the profit that you're really supposed to get. Which means the piggybacker is going to benefit more than you. So let's take the example. Minolta piggybacked on IBM's international distribution network, which helped Minolta achieve otherwise unaffordable distribution and helped IBM defray the cost of the distribution network. So it's a kind of two-way, like Minolta saved money on distribution. At the same time, IBM was able to reduce their distribution cost because Minolta was paying them. You see, it's a two-way advantage, Both I scratch your back, you scratch my back. That's a policy we are referring to here. Okay, so pharmaceutical companies also use these kind of methods mostly. They can piggyback. And we have seen it. We have seen this happening, right? A lot of pharmaceutical companies, they do not have the production facilities. What they have is the research and development. So though vaccines were developed in America or UK, the same vaccines, majority were produced in India. Why? Because they have the production facility, whereas mass production facility. And 80% of the vaccines produced for the global market is produced in India because they have extensive vaccine production setups in India. So I can easily manufacture for you, maybe, a few tons or a few 100,000 pieces, because that's what I'm doing. Only the brand is different, product is the same, essentially. Design is almost the same. So this is the advantage of piggybacking. But as we said, the terms and conditions are always in favor of the piggybacker, not you. So you may not get benefited from your hard work all the time. So again, this is a good method for the initial phase of your market entry. But as we move on, you need to have your own mechanisms. That's very important. Okay? Another opportunity or option that we can look at is, trading company. Extensive operations and control enable operations in more difficult trading areas, and they can manage counter trade activities. Trade for trade most of the time. It would be like, you sell me rice, I will give you iron ore, or you give me, the hardwares, I give you the software, something like that. You can always talk about counter trade activities. So trading companies are also a popular mechanism that can be used by you as a new organization to move to another country. So far we looked at, domestic purchasing, export management companies or export houses, piggybacking, trading companies. So here we have some of the examples of trading companies. So let's look at some of the Japanese trading companies like Mitsubishi Corporation, Mitsui and Company, Sumitomo Corporation, Itochu, Marubeni, Toyota, and Sojitz. So there are so many big trading companies basically from Japan. So from China or whichever company, for example, you are planning to enter into Germany, you can search and find out which are the trading companies in Germany who can be trusted with, who has got extensive distribution networks. And then accordingly, you can plan out your strategy if you are planning for a trading company. So what do trading companies do? They buy products from one country and sell them in another country. Why? How? Because they have extensive distribution network. So their distribution network is so vast that they don't need to set up another distribution network to sell your product. So they can piggyback enough products and services on their own existing distribution network. So what are the activities that they undertake? Number one, identification of suppliers in different countries with capacity to supply large volumes of generic products at competitive prices. So most of the trading companies sell generic products, not specialized items, because they may not have the technical know-how, especially when it comes to servicing. So they will choose products which does not need extensive services, after sales services I'm referring to. That's very smart business, Like for example, FMCG, fast moving consumer goods, which does not need much of after sales service or warranty guarantee. Negotiate the terms of sales and delivery of products. Financing, payment assurance, logistics management and support, managing customers or customs and international trade barriers. There could be many trade barriers. Trade barriers could be in terms of high customs duty, import duty, export duty. There could be many trade, increased documentations. So all this could be trade barriers. Then setting up retail networks. This is another task that trading companies undertake. So when you say trading companies, the only thing that they don't do is they don't manufacture. Other than manufacturing, they will do everything. Many of the trading companies, they even have products under their brand. They don't produce, somebody else produce, a third party produce but it is branded under them and sold under their banner, under their label. So that's what a trading company essentially do, okay? Next, we have the exporting to foreign markets. Exporting is one of the easiest of mechanisms which many companies use. There are many advantages and some disadvantages of exporting. The primary advantage, if you see, is there is very little money required, when it comes to exporting, because you are not financially overburdened. I'm not saying it is free, but you're not financially overburdened when it comes to exporting. And you can enter the market slowly and steadily. You don't have to worry about covering the entire market at one go. You can adopt a piecemeal strategy. Maybe you enter the Western market, then you move to the Southern market. From there, you move to the Northern market. From there, you move to the Eastern region or Eastern market. So you can gradually move from region to region, from market to market, from segment to segment, and cover the entire market. And in the process, what you do, you slowly start acquiring local market knowledge. And as I told you before in the last class, when we studied customs and culture, understanding local culture, local market is very important. How local markets operate. In some local markets, everything is sold on credit. If you don't give credit, you are not trustworthy. People won't come and buy from you. They need credit. Whereas some countries or some companies, there is no credit. Nothing is sold on credit. Everything is on ready cash. Okay, so these are some of the advantages. Now look at the disadvantages, not many. Yes, you got to pay the tariffs and you have to cross those tariff and non-tariff barriers, which is sometimes very tough. And those are country specific. Sometimes there could be embargoes. There could be trade restrictions. There could be, like if you see many countries, including Cuba, Iran, Iraq, Syria, there are trade embargoes, like Syria, Iran, Iraq, they can't sell their oil to many countries. Many countries cannot buy oil. Even I know people, there are a lot of Iranians in Malaysia. Now, they cannot even open a bank account because of the, embargoes that the country is going through. There are trade restrictions. So, these kind of things can have a disadvantage. Then logistical complexity. Yes, when I say logistical complexity, it involves warehousing, transportation, distribution networks, direct and indirect distribution. So do you have the capability to manage these kind of logistics facilities? If not, you just piggyback. Then there's always a chance that you can have conflict with distributors, because the distributors wants more commission. I remember Unilever. Okay, Unilever is one of the biggest FMCG, fast moving consumer goods in India. They are one of the biggest company in India. Obviously it's not Indian company, it's a multinational company. But they're present in India since last 100 years is very huge. And they since their brands are very popular, the distributors and retailers get very little commission. And no distributor or retailer or wholesaler can say no to their products because they are well known in the market, because a lot of customers come and ask specifically for their products like Lux, Pears, Dove, there are so many brands. So as a wholesaler retailer, if you don't keep those popular brands, you risk losing business because people may not come back again. So there was a time when there was a tussle between distributors in India and this particular company called Unilever. Distributors wanted more commission per product, whereas the manufacturer did not want to give higher commission. They said, you don't want to keep our product, we will find another distributor. So the strike was going on for months and months. And finally, they came to an amicable settlement. So these kind of conflicting scenarios are very common. Because if distributors feel that the manufacturer is earning more and the distributor is not getting a due share, you can always expect distributors' wrath. It's possible. It can happen. Okay. So when we say what are the motivators for exporting, obviously there are two motivations. One is the proactive motivation. The second is the reactive motivation. Proactive motivation of exporting because you want to really explore opportunities in the foreign market. You want to grab the opportunities. You want to seize the opportunity. You find there is a huge opportunity for your product, let's say in Thailand or Indonesia or Brunei or some of the European market, or let's say in Pakistan or Bangladesh or India. So you think you will export. The second is a reactive motivation where it's not positive, it's a negative motivation. Why? Because there is reduced opportunity in domestic market. So when there is less opportunity in domestic market, you find that the only way you can survive as an organization is going global. Now look at many of the foreign companies or multinational companies that came from Europe and the Americas. Okay, be it the drinks king, be it Pepsi and Coke, or the fast food chains like McD, Burger King, KFC, or any of those. Why they move towards Africa and Asia? Because their business opportunities were reducing there. The market was shrinking. People were becoming more health conscious. Whereas in Asia, people were running after Western trends like eating fast food. So there was a huge demand here in Asia for this kind of products. So you look for opportunities elsewhere, another market, which is more of a negative motivator. Okay, so these are the motivators for exporting. This is a simple illustration how exporting takes place. So you have a company A. Company A can sell to a domestic customer, company B. Company B can sell to a foreign customer, that is a company C. That is called an indirect exporting. That means there is an intermediary between company C and company A, which is company B. That's why we call it as indirect exporting. I hope you understand. Whereas in direct exporting, if you see, company A is selling it directly to a foreign company in another country, which let's say company C. So there is no company B involved here. It's a direct exporting. There's no intermediary. There's no third party involvement here. That's why we call it as direct exporting. All right, so let's move on to look at different types of direct exporting. So what are the considerations you need to keep in mind when we are going for direct exporting? So we have done with, finished with indirect exporting. Now we're looking at direct exporting. So if you want to export directly products to company C in another market, you have to look at government policies. Are the government policies in favor of export? Do they encourage import? In other words, do they encourage import of foreign products to their country? They may not encourage other countries to export to their country, but they may encourage import. You understand? Okay, so do they encourage import? I mean, are there less customs duty or reasonable customs duty or, tax rates? Is the documentations faster? Or are there too many complex documentations and processes that you need to go through before you can export your product? What are the customs fees? How many days does it take? You need to understand. Then marketing concerns. Do you know the market that you're planning to enter? Because you're directly planning to export, right? Do you know what is the demand for your product in that market? Do you know how much will be the growth of demand for your product in that market? Can you predict expanding to nearby markets from that market? Do you know anything about the buying behavior or consumer behavior of that market? You need to understand, the concerns, especially, a country like Malaysia, people eat out 3 times a day. Majority of the people eat out 3 times a day. They are dependent on restaurants for their breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's a good news for a fast food company which is planning to export their product to Malaysia. There will be a huge demand. But there are conservative markets like Japan where they may not like foreign products. In many countries, you hold a foreign product, it is considered to be very prestigious. Like you're having a foreign car, a foreign brand mobile is considered to be prestigious. But a country like Japan, they prefer their own Japanese brands when compared to foreign brands. Are you aware of this? Then logistical considerations. When I say logistical considerations, it involves moving product from shipping, in the product reaches at shipping area, right? Port, or it reaches airport. Or if there's a rail connection, it reaches the railway station. So from there, what is the mechanism for moving the product to warehouse or from warehouse to centralized warehouse, from centralized warehouse to small warehouses, or to the retailer, or to wholesaler, or to distributor. Do you have safe storage facilities? How are you moving your goods? Some companies like Blue Dart, for example, Blue Dart, they can move their product according to their convenience because they have their own aeroplanes carrying their cargo, right? If you see Blue Dart, they carry their own cargo. That's why they can say they can deliver your parcel in 24 hours in whichever part of the world you are. Otherwise, your fee is returned, right? So, couriers like First Flight, Blue Dart, why they're popular? Because they have their own logistics mechanism. They have their own fleet of trucks, fleet of aeroplanes. They own it. So they can schedule the movement of the goods according to their convenience. So all these issues, government policies, marketing concerns, logistical considerations, distribution issues, they're all important to consider before you're planning to enter into a foreign market. You can't simply jump in because all these considerations are pretty significant to understand. Okay, so hi, are you with me? Hello guys.
Yes, sir.
Are you all there?
We are here.
Okay, great. Any questions?
No question.
How? Why no questions? I'm so sad, because you don't guys ask any questions. Yeah? I'm looking forward to that day when you people start asking some questions in the class. Okay, let's move on. So let's look at export intermediaries. We have seen export intermediaries. So what do? They manage export management companies. It can be in the form of a web Pimerisin Association, which is from US, or it can be in the form of international trading company, or it could be a manufacturer's agent, manufacturer's export agent, or export and import broker, or freight forwarders, and so on. So there can be different forms of export intermediaries. So you can, for your assignment, you can choose. If you say, yeah, export intermediaries is a very good option. For example, you say, we want to use freight forwarders. Then you got to justify on what basis, what's the reason which makes you to say that freight forwarding is the best way for you to move to another country. You got to justify it. You can't simply say, I like freight forwarding. It sounds very nice. No, there must be a reason. Then we have export management companies, EMCs. They can be in the form of commission agents or take title to goods. So commission agent is quite straightforward. For every product that they sell for you, they charge a commission, maybe 10%, 15%, or even below, could be 3%, depending on the product, complexity involved, and the understanding between the agent and the exporter. Some export management companies also take title to goods. Take title to goods means the brand becomes their own. You know, they change the brand name, they change the packaging, they change the logo, they change the pricing, everything they might change, and they make the product as their own product. That is what we mean by taking the title of the product. So everything depends on the nature of the organization, nature of the product, the complexities involved in it, and so on. So just now we're talking about the Web Pomeranian Association. This is from US. This is a group of companies that operate within the same industry. So when I say same industry, it could mean automobile industry, pharmaceutical industry, tourism industry, any specific, or chemical industry, iron ore or mining industry, steel industry, and so on. So it can be based on the industries. So if you become a member, you can by law coordinate export activities without the fear of violating US antitrust laws. So the US antitrust laws are very powerful that can stop any product being sold in US, saying that your product is violating the rights of local manufacturer or local producer. So what are the members of this particular WP association? So it could be members from same industry. They could coordinate export activities, and they perform promotional activities. When I say promotional, it can include all kinds of advertising, sales promotion campaigns, PR activities, branding, face-to-face telling, television promotions, maybe social media campaigns. All these are promotional activities. And overseas, freight consolidation, and then engages in contract negotiations, and finally export goods for members. So this is what the benefit of being part of this particular association. The next direct export method is the international trading company. What do they do for you? They will do market research for you. They can do the customs documentation for you. They can arrange international transportation for you. They can arrange the distribution within the host country. They can do marketing, they can do financing, they can do a lot. So international trading companies offer multiple services such as market research, customs documentations, international transportation, host country distribution, marketing, financing, and so on and on. So you see, it is not just about buying product from you, selling it to a third country. They do multiple tasks. Okay. So international trading companies are professional organizations who can be trusted with your product and services. So Japan Sogo, Sosa, okay. Anyone who speaks Japanese here? Anybody who say they can speak Japanese?
Cannot speak Japanese, just a little.
Oh, you can understand a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Wow, good. How did you learn Japanese? Through Japanese drama. But Chinese like Korean drama, right? You watch Japanese drama or Korean drama? Oh, no. So I assume you're watching the Japanese drama. That's how you picked up your Japanese a little bit. Yeah. So other direct intermediaries could include manufacturer's agent. So agents mostly work on a commission basis. Huh? You pay them a commission, they do the work for you. Whereas manufacturers, export agents, they are foreign sales department for domestic manufacturers by selling their goods in foreign market. Export import brokers, they bring together international buyers and sellers and they internationalize commodities like coffee, cocoa, grains, etc. And then you have the freight forwarders. So they are specialized in transporting goods, arranging customs, obtaining transportation services, etc., etc. So every type of intermediaries have their own role to play when it comes to exporting. It all depends on which one suits your requirement the best. How big is your pocket size in terms of money power and firepower? So if you have money power, you have firepower today. That's how it works. So you got to choose any one of the method from the intermediary types. Okay, so you can choose between manufacturer's agent, manufacturer's export agent, export and import brokers, freight forwarding companies, and so on and on. Anyone working as an working in any of the export companies in China? Anybody? Anyone in import-export business or attached to a company dealing with import and export? No? Nobody? Okay, so that's bad. Otherwise, we could have had some first-hand information from some of you as how things work in your company. You know, it would have been a very interesting case study. I posted the, some good news articles. I hope you're reading those. Better read, because I can take them as case study for your exam also sometimes. So if you don't read, you'll be losing things out. So whatever I post in the group, you must be able to read. Okay. So what is the marketing mix for direct exporting? I'm sure you have studied this in your marketing class. This, the 4 P's, the traditional 4 P's, product, price, place, promotion, right? The 4 P's. Place stands for distribution, okay? So you have to choose your product. The pricing strategies must be attractive based on the country that you're planning to enter. If you are planning to enter bottom of the pyramid market, I hope you understand it by now, bottom of the pyramid, then you can't expect high price. And if you're entering into European or UK market or US market, you can't sell products very cheap there too, because if you sell it at a low price, people might think the quality is bad. That's why the price is low. So every market, be it the Asian market, European market, or African market, or the US market, it must have its own pricing strategy. Then promotion, very important, because you can't use the same promotional materials. For example, if I want to promote my MBA in China, then my brochures, my prospects, everything must be written in Chinese. I have to translate, put things in Chinese language so people can read the Mandarin version and understand, right? So you look at how Google is doing their business. Google is in almost every language today. You can choose any language that you want and it's available in Google. Same way you look at Amazon, how Amazon has evolved. You don't know English, don't worry. You can see and buy and make orders using the local language. So this is the importance of the 4 Ps I'm talking about. So the 4 Ps are important. The financing and administration is important because it has to deal with budgeting, order processing, insurance, credit control. There are different issues that you need to understand. Then technical aspect, yes, specifications, testing, product quality. As I said, quality parameters differ from country to country. It is not the same in every country. If you want to sell an automobile in America, the quality, the safety parameters are very different. And same product when you sell in Malaysia, half of those parameters in US or in Europe may not be found in Malaysia. And the same product when you sell to, let's say, India, half of that half is not even there. You understand? If you say it is mandatory to have 2 airbags in Malaysia, when you go to India, it might say only the driver needs to have an airbag. So you see, different countries may have different technical requirements for the product, right? For example, if you want to sell teddy bear in US, then you have to make sure that teddy bear product, the material with which teddy bear is made is free from any source of allergy, poisoning, etc., etc., because children are going to bite the teddy bear. So if there are, allergic contents or poisoning content which is harmful to the body, then that's a key issue. Whereas in Asia, who cares? We just want a teddy bear. We don't look at the size and shape and price. We don't even ask about the quality. We just want a teddy bear because that's the bottom of the pyramid market. They want the basic product. Remember, we studied the bottom of the pyramid always wants the basic product. Okay, for example, bottom of the pyramid wants just the coffee beans. They don't want Starbucks. They want coffee beans, that's all. They don't even want a branded coffee bean. They can roast, they can powder the coffee, and they make their own coffee with that bean. Just give me 1 minute, please. Okay, sorry guys, I got to do something in between. Okay, I hope you enjoyed your break also. So let's continue. Huh? Okay, sorry friends, in between I got to send out a few messages which are popping up. Sorry for holding you back. Okay, so the components of the export marketing mix, as we said, are product, pricing, place, promotion, distribution, and services which include market research, training, and sales servicing. Very important component. Without market research, we don't understand the trend of the market. So before we set foot in any market, it's important that we study the market. So what do we study in the market? We study about politics, governance issues. We study about policy frameworks. We study about economic conditions, situations, culture, habits, beliefs, customs, social issues, the role of religion in politics. All this must be studied. We have to do market research. Then we have to research the demographics in terms of ratio between male and female, children and adults, adolescents, right? We have to do market research. Then we need to provide training to the after sales support staff. It could involve technical training or non-technical training, human resource training, and also we need to teach the sales team how to do after sales servicing. For example, if your product involves technology which needs certain kind of technical support, there must be people who can provide this support. So all these are very, very important to understand. Okay, so I hope you understand the marketing mix part. which probably you studied in your marketing class, right? So what are the factors for success in exporting? Number one, top management commitment. If an organization's management is not committed, then you can't, because it needs long-term investment. It needs, farsightedness, vision. If you're entering into a foreign market for 1 month, 2 months, it's of no use. If you're planning to enter, you must enter for a few years. So that's why commitment in terms of financial commitment, in terms of technical commitment, in terms of manpower commitments, all these commitments are very much required. Then exporting approach, emphasizing the skill base. Do we have enough of skill sets that can support your exporting activity? When we say skill base, we are referring to technical skills, human skills, social skills, soft skills. There's so many types of skill sets that we need to talk about. Do we have all these as an organization? If not, it's really very difficult to continue the exporting business. Then marketing and information communication system. If you're depending on traditional marketing channels, your exporting business may not be that effective. So the question is, what kind of marketing tactics and tools do you use? Do you use social media as a platform? Do you use TikTok, for example, TikTok as a platform, one of your favorite, I'm sure, social media channel, right? Some companies are very smart in using, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and so on and on. Now, we cannot use the traditional media, the television and newspaper alone. That won't serve the purpose today. So you have to go beyond that. We have to go in to understand the analytics. Analytics, we are referring to reach, impact, views, conversion. There are a lot of things that we need to look at. These are all marketing terms, which I believe you're quite familiar because you have done your marketing. Then your information communication system. How do you communicate with your customers and your clients? What kind of mechanisms are used? Are you still believing in, the traditional emails only or fax? I remember, a few years before, I wanted to do part-time teaching, in one of the universities in Malaysia. So I went there, and the first question, the director of that institute asked, "Hey, do you have a WhatsApp?" I didn't have a smartphone at that time. I'm referring to almost 9 years before. I didn't have a smartphone, frankly speaking. And I didn't have a WhatsApp either. That was the time WhatsApp was, becoming popular. I didn't have. I said, no. They said, how can I communicate with you? How can I do business with you? And he didn't give me a subject to teach because I didn't have a smartphone and WhatsApp to communicate with him. Nothing to do with students, So after 1 or 2 months, I bought a smartphone. I installed WhatsApp. Then I said hello through WhatsApp to him. Then he was very happy. He said, wow, you got your WhatsApp. Very good. And immediately he assigned one subject to me within no time. I mean, this is a very simple example to understand how important is information system to some of your clients. So if you don't understand, then you may be in trouble. You understand? So never underestimate the importance of communication systems. Then, do you have production capacity, product quality, competitive pricing. Now, when we say production capacity, we are talking about volume of business. Volume in terms of numbers, quantity. If there's a huge demand, can you meet that demand? Product superiority, it could be technological superiority, superiority in terms of quality, design, shape, color, packaging. There could be many areas to look at. Pricing, obviously it should be less than the competitor's pricing. But at the same time, you cannot sell below cost of production. That's another issue. Then it will become predatory pricing, just like Walmart is doing in many countries. So not everybody can adopt predatory pricing, because if you do that, then the Competition Commission will come into the picture. They will study the pricing policy. They will see whether you are purposefully selling, you're dumping, when we sell below, we call it as dumping. That's a case study I gave to you just now, yesterday. You read about it, dumping and anti-dumping duties. So are you dumping your product in another country with the help of subsidies from your government? No. So competitive pricing is, your pricing should be at par with the local market's price. It shouldn't be less than that, because then the local market is going to make a big hue and cry. They will complain and the government will step in. They will stop you from selling many times, because the government wants to protect the local economy. That is their first choice. And then, as we said, market research must be done. Then we should have a national export policy. Where does your government encourage exporting products? Like Chinese government, encourages exporting of products. Thailand encourages exporting of products. Not every country has got export-driven policies. They give tax holidays, they give free infrastructure, free electricity, they have export zones, they have special economic zones. These are all policies which says we encourage export. So you can look at your own country, China, to see what is the level of government intervention when it comes to exporting products. They give a lot of subsidies to small-scale industries to encourage them to export their products to many countries. Yes, it's happening, right? Okay, friends, I think it's time to take a real break, because though I have been breaking in between for various reasons, I know you couldn't move out. Take a break. Okay, take a 20 minutes break. We come back by 3:15. Then we continue our class. So meanwhile, I can settle some of the emails just popped up, which were very urgent in nature. Thank you, everyone. Take a break. We come back by 3:15.
Okay, thanks.